The crown wasn't just metal, it was hungry. Victoria Kane felt it the second her fingers brushed its rusted edges, a whisper slithering up her spine like a snake tasting the air. The armed men bursting through the door didn't scare her. The guns? Predictable. But the way the crown purred as their knees hit the floor, that was the moment she knew. This wasn't power. It was a reckoning. And the worst part? It remembered her. Please wait. Before we start, tap that iCard button in the top right corner and smash that subscribe button. Right now. Hit the notification bell so you're first in line when new stories land. Alright, let's dive into the story. Chapter 1. The rain hammered against the cracked windows of Blackwood Manor like 1,000 impatient fingers tapping glass. Thunder growled in the distance, shaking the old bones of the house. Victoria Kane moved through the shadows of the grand foyer, her form-fitting black suit clinging to her like a second skin, the material whispering with every calculated step. Her fingers trailed along the dusty banister, leaving clean streaks in the grime. "You're sure they're coming?" she asked, her voice low but sharp as a blade. Marcus Reed leaned against the wall near the fireplace, his massive arms crossed over his chest. The flickering light from the dying fire cast jagged shadows across the scar running down his cheek. "Oh, they're coming. Graves doesn't give up that easy." Victoria smirked, her dark eyes glinting. "Good. I've been waiting to return the favor." Marcus snorted. "You mean the favor where he put 2 bullets in you last time?" She shot him a glare. "1 bullet. The other grazed me." "Right. My mistake." He pushed off the wall, his boots crunching over broken glass. "You know this is a trap, Vic. They wouldn't walk in here without backup." Victoria's gaze flicked to the rusted iron crown sitting atop the fireplace mantel. It was an ugly thing, jagged and uneven, like it had been forged in a hurry. "Let them bring an army. I'm done running." A sharp crack echoed from outside, the unmistakable sound of boots on gravel. Marcus tensed. Showtime. The front door burst inward with a deafening crash, splinters flying. Men in black tactical gear poured in, rifles raised, red laser sights dancing across the walls like angry fireflies. At the front stood Agent Daniel Graves, his crisp suit untouched by the rain, his cold blue eyes locked onto Victoria. "Well," Graves said, his voice smooth as poison honey. "Victoria Kane, I'd say it's a pleasure, but we both know that'd be a lie." Victoria tilted her head, feigning boredom. "Daniel, still dressing like you're auditioning for a bad spy movie, I see." Graves' smile didn't reach his eyes. "Goo, but we're done playing games. You're under arrest for treason, theft of classified intel, and breathing too loud in your general direction," she interrupted. "Come on, Daniel. If you're gonna list my crimes, at least make it interesting." His jaw tightened. "Take her." The agents surged forward. Victoria didn't hesitate. She lunged for the fireplace, her fingers closing around the cold metal of the crown. The second she touched it, a shock wave of energy erupted from her body, invisible but crushing. The air itself seemed to tremble. The agents froze mid-step. Their rifles clattered to the ground. Then, one by one, they dropped to their knees. Marcus' breath hitched. "What the hell?" Graves' face twisted in disbelief. His legs buckled against his will, forcing him down. He snarled, veins bulging in his neck as he fought the unseen force. "Kane, what did you do?" Victoria stared at the crown in her hand, her pulse roaring in her ears. It was vibrating, humming like a live wire. And then, a whisper, so faint she almost missed it. "Welcome back." Her blood turned to ice. Marcus took a step back, his voice barely above a whisper. "Vic, your eyes." She didn't need a mirror to know. The crown's power slithered through her veins, dark and intoxicating. The agents weren't just kneeling, they were bowing. And Graves? He looked at her like she was something out of a nightmare. Victoria swallowed hard. What have I just awakened? Chapter 2. The morning sun cast a golden glow over the bustling streets of Eldermere, with a scent of freshly baked bread mingled with the salty breeze from the harbor. Elias tightened the straps of his worn leather satchel, his boots clicking against the cobblestones as he navigated the crowd. "Move it, would ya?" a burly merchant grumbled, nearly shoving him aside. Elias shot him a glare, but held his tongue. Today wasn't the day for petty squabbles. "Oi, Elias! Over here!" A familiar voice rang out from the shadowed alleyway. Kale, his oldest friend, leaned against the brick wall, a mischievous grin playing on his lips. His dark hair was tousled, as usual, and his dagger twirled effortlessly between his fingers. "You're late. Again." Elias rolled his eyes. "Blame the damn market crowd. It's like the whole city woke up with a fire under their feet." Kale chuckled, pushing off the wall. "Or maybe you just can't resist stopping to admire your reflection in every shop window." "Haha, very funny," Elias deadpanned. "Where's Lyra? She was supposed to meet us here." As if on cue, a sharp whistle cut through the air. Lyra dropped from the rooftop above, landing lightly beside them. Her auburn braids swung over her shoulder, and her emerald eyes sparkled with amusement. "Took you too long enough. I've been waiting ages." Kale feigned offense. "We've been here for 5 minutes," Lyra interrupted, crossing her arms. "Which, in your time, is practically an eternity." Elias shook his head, fighting a smile. "All right, enough. We got work to do. That relic won't steal itself." Kale's grin turned wolfish. "Now you're speaking my language. So what's the plan?" Lyra pulled a crumpled parchment from her belt, unfurling it with a flick of her wrist. "According to my sources, the artifact's being moved tonight, midnight, through the old sewers. Guards are minimal, but they're not taking chances. It's warded." Elias frowned. "Warded? Since when do city guards use magic?" "Since someone," Lyra said, shooting Kale a pointed look, "decided to borrow the last shipment of enchanted jewels without asking." Kale held up his hands. "In my defense, they were just lying around." Elias groaned. "You're impossible. Lida simirkit. Anyway, we'll need a distraction." "Kale, think you can handle that?" Kale placed a hand over his heart. "My dear Lyra, when have I ever let you down?" Elias and Lyra exchanged a glance. "Do you really want us to answer that?" Elias asked. Kale waved them off. "Details, details. Just leave the theatrics to me." As the trio slipped into the shadows, the weight of the coming heist settled over them. The relic was more than just another score. It was the key to unraveling the mystery that had brought them together in the first place. And failure? Well, that wasn't an option. The streets grew quieter as they moved toward the rendezvous point, the distant hum of the city fading behind them. Elias couldn't shake the feeling that tonight would change everything, but for better or worse. That remained to be seen. Chapter 3. The sewers beneath Eldermere reeked of damp stone and something far less pleasant. A mix of rotting waste and stagnant water that made Elias wrinkle his nose in disgust. "Remind me again why we couldn't just take the front door," he muttered, stepping carefully over a suspiciously dark puddle. Kale, ahead of him, let out a low chuckle. "Because, my friend, the front door tends to have guards. And swords. And, laws." Lyra, bringing up the rear, flicked a pebble at the back of Kale's head. "Quiet. Sound carries down here, and I'd rather not announce our presence to every rat and cutthroat in the tunnels." Kale rubbed his head, feigning hurt. "Violence? Really? And here I thought we were a team." Elias ignored their bickering, his eyes fixed on the faint glow of torchlight ahead. "We're close. The exchange point should be just around that bend." Lyra slipped past him, her movements silent as a shadow. She pressed against the wall, peering around the corner before pulling back sharply. "Two guards. One's got a crossbow. The other looks like he lifts boulders for fun." Kale cracked his knuckles. "Perfect. I love a challenge." Elias grabbed his arm before he could charge forward. "No, we stick to the plan. Distraction first, then grab the relic and go." Kale sighed dramatically. "Spoil sport." Lyra rolled her eyes. "Just do your part, Kale. And try not to get shot." With a wink, Kale sauntered into the open, his voice suddenly loud and slurred. Oi, you fellas seen my cat? Fluffy little thing. Answers to Princess Murderpaws. The guard stiffened, the larger one stepping forward. What the? This area is restricted. Get lost, drunkard. Kale staggered closer, waving a half-empty bottle. Oh, small. I just want to find my kitty. She's got a taste for human flesh, you know. Real problem at dinner parties, the crossbow snapped up. Last warning. Elias didn't wait. While the guards were distracted, he and Lyra darted forward, slipping past them into the chamber beyond. A single crate sat in the center, its surface etched with glowing runes. Lyra cursed under her breath. Strong wards. This isn't just city guard work. Someone with real power wants this thing protected. Elias pulled a small, silver amulet from his pocket. Good thing I came prepared. He pressed it against the runes, and the glow flickered before fading entirely. Lyra raised an eyebrow. Since when do you carry magic disruptors? Since Kale made us steal from a mage last month. Learn my lesson. He flipped the crate open, revealing a twisted, blackened dagger, its edge humming with unnatural energy. Lyra's breath caught. That's not just a relic. That's a bloodthorn blade. They're forbidden for a reason. Before Elias could respond, a shout echoed from the tunnel. Intruders! Sound the alarm. Kale burst into the chamber, his playful demeanor gone. We've got company. Lots of company. Elias grabbed the dagger, its weight cold and wrong in his hand. Time to go. Lyra was already moving. This way, there's a grate that leads to the canals. And Elias, yeah, don't drop that thing. If it draws blood, we're all dead. Kale shot a glance over his shoulder as the sound of boots grew louder. Oh, fantastic. Just another relaxing evening with you two. Elias didn't laugh. The dagger pulsed in his grip like a living thing, and for the first time, he wondered if they just made a very, very big mistake. Chapter 4. The neon sign of the all-night diner flickered like a dying heartbeat, casting an eerie glow across the rain-slicked pavement. Victoria slid into the cracked vinyl booth, the crown hidden in her backpack, its weight heavier than it should have been. Across from her, Evelyn Shaw stirred her coffee absently, her sharp green eyes scanning the room like a hawk. You look like hell, Evelyn remarked, taking in Victoria's disheveled hair and the dark circles under her eyes. Victoria Smirkev. Funny, I was about to say the same thing to you. Evelyn rolled her eyes. I've been up for 36 hours digging through archives. You've been running from a secret society that wants you dead. I think I win the Who Looks Worse contest. Marcus slid into the booth beside Victoria, his massive frame making the seat creak in protest. He tossed a newspaper onto the table. The headline screamed, Mysterious Mass Kneeling Incident, Government Denies Involvement. Well, that's subtle, Marcus muttered. Victoria Gronev. Graves is probably having a meltdown right now. Evelyn leaned in, her voice dropping. Speaking of meltdowns, I found something. The Order of the Dawn isn't just some fan club. They've been around for centuries, systematically erasing any trace of the Shadow Queen's bloodline. Victoria's fingers tightened around her coffee cup. Why? Because the crown doesn't just control people, Evelyn said. It changes them. The last queen went from liberator to tyrant in under a year. The Order made sure she didn't get a second. A chill slithered down Victoria's spine. The crown had been whispering to her in her dreams, promises of power, of vengeance. She'd ignored it. Mostly. Marcus frowned. So what? They think Vic's gonna turn into some kind of supervillain. Evelyn gave him a flat look. I don't know, Marcus. Does making armed agents kneel on command sound like hero behavior to you? Before he could retort, the diner's door chimed. A man in an expensive gray suit stepped inside, his silver hair gleaming under the fluorescent lights. He didn't look at them, not directly, but the way his lips curled into a smile made Victoria's skin crawl. Silas Voss. Marcus stiffened. We need to go. Now. Victoria didn't move. He already knows we're here. Silas finally turned his head, locking eyes with her from across the diner. His smile widened. Then he raised his hand and snapped his fingers. The diner's other patrons stood up in unison. Their eyes were blank, unseeing. Evelyn sucked in a sharp breath. "Oh, you've got to be kidding me." Silas strolled toward them, hands in his pockets, like he didn't have a care in the world. "Victoria Kane, I've heard so much about you." His voice was smooth, cultured, and utterly terrifying. Victoria forced herself to stay still. "Funny, I've never heard of you." He chuckled. "Modesty doesn't suit you. Not after what you did to Gravesman." His gaze flicked her backpack. "Though I suppose we both know it wasn't you who did that. Was it?" Marcus shifted, his hand inching toward the gun at his waist. Silas didn't even glance at him. "Ah, I wouldn't do that if I were you." Silas tilted his head toward the kitchen. A man in an apron stepped out, holding a knife to the throat of a trembling waitress. Victoria's blood boiled. "You coward." Silas sighed. "Such ugly words. And here I was going to offer you a deal." Evelyn's nails dug into the table. "What kind of deal?" "The kind where you hand over the crown," Silas said. "And I don't have my friends here peel the skin from your bones." The diner's lights flickered. Victoria felt the crown pulse in her bag, like a second heartbeat. She smiled. "See, here's the thing, Silas. You brought puppets." She leaned forward. "But I brought a queen." Then she reached into the bag, and the world exploded into shadows. Chapter 5. The safe house smelled of mildew and gunpowder. Victoria paced the length of the cramped apartment, her boots scuffing against the warped floorboards. The crown sat on the rickety kitchen table, its jagged edges catching the dim glow of the single bare bulb overhead. Marcus hadn't spoken since they'd fled the diner. He stood by the window, peering through the blinds at the empty street below, his jaw clenched so tight she could see the muscle twitching. Evelyn broke the silence first, tossing a first aid kit onto the couch. "You're bleeding." Victoria glanced down at the cut on her forearm, a parting gift from one of Silas's mind-controlled puppets. "It's nothing. It's something," Evelyn snapped. "Especially if that bastard poisoned his blades. Sit down before you pass out." Victoria rolled her eyes, but dropped onto the couch. Evelyn wasn't gentle as she cleaned the wound, but Victoria didn't flinch. Pain was an old friend. Marcus finally turned from the window. "We can't keep running." "No kidding, Victoria Mater. Got a better plan?" "Yeah, we fight back." Evelyn snorted. "Against an ancient secret society with an army of brainwashed slaves?" "Brilliant." Marcus's eyes darkened. "You got a smarter idea, Professor." "Actually, I do." Evelyn tied off the bandage with a sharp tug. "We find out why the crown chose Victoria. There's a reason it responds to her, and not Silas." Victoria flexed her fingers, remembering the way the shadows had obeyed her in the diner, like they'd been waiting. "It's not just the crown," she said quietly. "It's me. I feel it, like I've done this before." Marcus went still. "What the hell does that mean?" Before she could answer, a phone buzzed. Not theirs. Evelyn froze. "That's coming from your bag." Victoria reached into her backpack and pulled out a burner phone, one she'd never seen before. The screen flashed with a single word: answer. Marcus grabbed his gun. "Don't." She hit the button anyway. Silas's voice oozed through the speaker, smooth as silk. "Victoria, I do hope I didn't interrupt your little strategy session." Victoria's grip tightened on the phone. "What do you want?" "A courtesy call, really. You left so abruptly, we didn't get to finish our conversation." A pause. Then, softer, put Marcus on. I slid down her spine. She looked up at Marcus, really looked. The way his fingers trembled around his gun, the sweat on his brow. "Marcus!" He wouldn't meet her eyes. Silas chuckled. "Oh, this is delicious. You haven't told her, have you?" Victoria stood slowly. "Told me what?" Marcus's voice was raw. "Vic," I a click. Then a new voice came through the phone. Young, terrified. "And Marcus?" "Please, they're hurting me." Marcus's face crumpled. "Lena." Silas took over again. "Here's the deal, Victoria. You bring me the crown, or Marcus's baby sister dies screaming." The line went dead. The silence that followed was suffocating. Evelyn looked between them. "Okay, New plan, we kill Silas first. Victoria didn't hear her. She was staring at Marcus, at the tears cutting through the grime on his face. You were going to betray me. It wasn't a question. Marcus swallowed hard. I was going to try. The crown on the table hummed, its whispers slithering into her mind. They all betray you in the end. Victoria reached for it. Marcus grabbed her wrist. Don't. That thing's changing you. I see it. Your eyes go black when you use it. She yanked free. You don't get to lecture me about choices right now. A crash from the hallway. Then another. Evelyn was on her feet. They found us. Marcus wiped his face, steeling himself. I'll hold them off. You two run. Victoria laughed, a sharp, broken sound. You really think I'm letting you play hero after this? The door exploded inward. Marcus shoved her behind him, gun raised. Yeah, a beak. Ido. Then the gunfire started. Chapter 6. The storm outside the abandoned lighthouse howled like a living thing, rain lashing against the cracked windows as thunder shook the walls. Elias clutched the bloodthorn dagger tighter, its unnatural chill seeping into his bones. Across the room, Lyra paced like a caged wolf, her boots scuffing against the damp stone floor. We can't just sit here, she snapped, her voice sharp with tension. They'll be on us before dawn. Kale, lounging on a broken crate with infuriating calm, tossed a dagger into the air and caught it. Relax. We got the high ground, the element of surprise, and, most importantly, my dazzling wit. Elias shot him a glare. Your wit won't stop a dozen armed cultists from carving us into pieces. Kale grinned. You'd be surprised. Lyra stopped pacing abruptly, her eyes narrowing. Wait, you're too calm. What did you do? Kale's grin widened. Me? Nothing. Unless you count rigging the stairs with enough black powder to send our guests flying back to whatever dark pit they crawled out of. Elias's stomach dropped. What? You could have brought the whole tower down on us. Kale waved a hand. Details, details. Besides, I left us a very safe escape route. Probably. Lyra pinched the bridge of her nose. I swear, if we survive this, I'm going to kill you myself. A distant boom cut through the storm's roar, the sound of the lighthouse's heavy door being forced open. Kale leapt to his feet, suddenly serious. Showtime. Elias tightened his grip on the dagger. Stick to the plan. We need one of them alive for answers. Lyra drew her twin blades, the steel glinting in the flickering lantern light. And if they don't feel like talking? Elias met her gaze. Then we make them. Footsteps pounded up the stairs, voices snarling in a guttural tongue. Then, kaboom! The explosion rocked the tower, sending debris flying. Screams followed. Kale peered over the edge of the ruined staircase and whistled. Well, that worked better than expected. Lyra grabbed his shoulder and yanked him back as a crossbow bolt whizzed past his ear. Move! The surviving cultists surged forward, their black robes singed, eyes wild with fury. Elias ducked a swinging axe, driving the hilt of his dagger into the attacker's throat. The man crumpled, but another took his place, this one taller, his face hidden behind a grotesque mask. Elias Vane, the masked man hissed. The master wants what you stole. Elias feinted left, then drove his knee into the man's gut. Tell your master he can rot. Lyra fought like a whirlwind, her blades a blur, but the cultists kept coming. Kale, meanwhile, had somehow acquired a crossbow and was firing wildly over their heads. Kale! Elias shouted. Aim for them, not the ceiling. Kale shrugged. I'm setting a mood. The masked leader lunged, his dagger scraping Elias's ribs. Pain flared, but Elias twisted, slamming the bloodthorn dagger's pommel into the man's temple. He staggered, just enough for Lyra to hook a foot behind his knees and send him crashing to the ground. Elias pressed the dagger to the man's throat. Who's your master? Where is he? The cultist laughed, a wet, choking sound. You'll see him soon enough. He's coming, and he'll take everything from you. Then, with a sudden jerk, the man bit down. his body convulsing as poison took him. Lira Jursit. Fanatics. Always with the poison. Kil kikit a fan kultistsport. Well, this was a lovely evening, but I vote we leave before more show up. Elias stared at the dead man, dread coiling in his gut. The cultist's last words echoed in his mind. He's coming. Elias. Lyra's voice was uncharacteristically soft. We need to go. He nodded, sheathing the dagger. Yeah, but this isn't over. As they fled into the storm, the lighthouse burning behind them, one thing was clear. Whatever they'd stumbled into was far bigger than a simple relic theft. And the worst was yet to come. Chapter 7. The ruins of Eldro's Keep loomed ahead, its shattered towers clawing at the storm-choked sky like broken fingers. Elias wiped rain from his face, the bloodthorn dagger a leaden weight at his belt. Beside him, Lyra adjusted the straps of her blades, her jaw set. This is it, she muttered. No more running. Kale, uncharacteristically quiet, stared at the keep. Yeah, just us, an army of cultists, and whatever nightmare their master turns out to be. Perfect. Elias shot him a look. Since when do you hesitate? Kale's usual smirk flickered, then faded. Since I saw what that dagger does to people. You felt it, Elias. That thing's wrong. A gust of wind howled through the ruins, carrying the scent of charred flesh and something older, something rotten. Lida shivered it. We don't have a choice. If we don't end this now, that cult spreads. More people die. Elias nodded. Then we go in hard and fast. Kale, distractions. Lida, flank. I'll take the dagger to the heart of this. Kale sighed dramatically, but his hands tightened around his daggers. Fine. But if I die, I haunt both of you. Lyra rolled her eyes. Noted. They moved like shadows through the crumbling halls, the occasional torch casting long, twisting shapes on the walls. The deeper they went, the thicker the air became, a suffocating mix of incense and decay. Then the chanting began, a low, rhythmic drone echoing from the central chamber. Elias peered through a cracked archway. Dozens of robed figures knelt in a circle, their voices rising as a towering figure in black robes raised his arms. The master, Lyra breathed. Elias's grip on the dagger tightened. It thrummed in response, as if recognizing its true owner. Kale swallowed hard. Oh, hell no. That guy's at least 8 feet tall. Can we pretend we didn't see this and now? Elias hissed. Chaos erupted. Kale flung a smoke bomb into the center of the room. The explosion of thick, acrid fog, sending cultists scrambling. Lyra darted left, blades flashing as she cut down the stragglers. Elias charged straight for the master. The figure turned, his face hidden beneath a hood, but Elias felt his gaze, cold and ancient. Ah, the master rumbled, his voice like grinding stone. The thief returns my property. Elias bared his teeth. Come take it. The master moved faster than something that size should. A backhanded blow sent Elias crashing into a pillar, pain exploding down his spine. The dagger clattered to the ground. Lyra lunged, her swords aiming for the master's throat, but he caught her by the wrist, squeezing until bone creaked. She cried out, dropping a blade. Kale leapt onto the master's back, daggers plunging toward his neck, but the blade shattered on contact. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. The master flung Kale aside like a rag doll, then turned back to Elias. You're insects, but the dagger, it hungers for you, doesn't it? Elias scrambled for it, his fingers closing around the hilt just as the master's hand clamped around his throat. Let's see what it takes, the master whispered. The dagger screamed in Elias's mind. Visions flooded him, cities burning, friends dying, Lyra and Kale rotting at his feet. And oh, with a roar, Elias twisted, plunging the dagger into the master's chest. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then light. The master screamed, black veins spreading from the wound as the dagger drank. His form withered, crumbling to dust until only the robes remained. Silence. Kale groaned, propping himself up on one elbow. Okay, what just happened? Lyra cradled her injured wrist, staring at the ashes. We won. Elias looked at the dagger, now silent in his hand, and shuddered. No, we survived. The ruins trembled, cracks splitting the floor as the cultists' corpses dissolved into shadow. Kale paled. That's bad, right? Lyra grabbed his arm. Run. They barely made it outside before the keep collapsed in on itself, the earth swallowing the horror hole. Panting, Elias dropped the dagger into the chasm, watching it vanish into the dark. Kale clapped him on the back, grinning weakly. So, drinks. Lyra snorted, but her eyes were on Elias. You good? He exhaled, the weight of the last few days finally crushing him. No, but I will be. As the first light of dawn broke through the storm, the three of them turned their backs on the ruins, alive, scarred, and done with relics. For now. And that was the end of the story. Comment below if you want the next chapter, and hit that like button. Please subscribe, turn on the bell, and, as always, keep the last light burning.